Hi, my name is Michael Wright, owner of Michael Wright Photography, and here are my top 7 tips to save you money on your wedding. One of my tips is to skip the limo. I know to a lot of people, they have this dream of rolling up to their wedding in a nice large limousine or maybe a classic Rolls or something, but in my experiences, limos can be problematic. We've had situations where the limo broke down. We had situations where the limo showed up late. The limo driver was rude. We had situations where they had the wrong address. And the reality is you're only going to be in the limo for 15, maybe 20 minutes out of the day, and that's a large chunk of change to designate to that part of your day. I would say skip it if you're on a budget, just because no one's going to see you in it most of the time. A lot of times it's parked outside of the church or the venue or something, but unless you're in a situation where you're getting ready at a hotel and you're going from the hotel to the church to a reception someplace else with 15 bridesmaids or something, then okay, it makes sense. But for the vast majority of brides, I would say skip it and save yourself some money. Another tip is to not opt for a multiple layer cake, to just opt for a single layer cake and maybe cupcakes. I've seen some of my brides do that and it works out wonderfully. We get the photos of them cutting the cake, and then right after that, the guests can either come over to the buffet table and pick a cupcake, or the servers can go around and serve them immediately after that. That's great because it saves time. It saves the time of having to take this 3-4 layer cake and cut it up. And a lot of times at the end of the night, to be honest with you, there's so much leftover cake. A lot of guests leave early. Some guests are on the dance floor. Some people are drinking. Some people are having fun. So it doesn't make sense to have all this cake that just goes uneaten at the end of the night. Another benefit of this is if you're like me and my wife and you argued over what type of cake to have, whether one side wants red velvet and the other side wants vanilla, if you go with cupcakes or single layer cake, you can get different flavors. So keep that in mind, and I would say maybe talk with your baker about those options because they can be a lot cheaper than getting a 5-layer cake. This next tip is for brides that are more the DIY type. If you want to do it yourself, you can do your own bouquets. However, I would say this tip is mainly for people with a smaller bridal party. If you only have 2 or 3 bridesmaids, it may make sense. And you have to be a little bit organized, and you have to figure out ahead of time where you're going to get the flowers. But I've had a couple brides that have done this, and the flowers came out wonderful. Tips with this would be to try to find either a location somewhere near where you're going to get ready to where you can source the flowers from. And then if you go online, you can check out a couple of places. They will show you how to wrap the flowers and pin it. There's some great resources, Etsy, they can send you some things that will help you do that. And you can save a ton of money if you're only looking to do a few bouquets for kind of an intimate ceremony. My next tip is to get a planner. I know that may be a little bit counterintuitive because you're like, I gotta spend money on a planner, but planners can save you money. Not only can they save you money, but they can help you stay within your budget and have the wedding that you want. But also, because they have relationships with different vendors, they may be able to get you a better deal. They may know certain specials that are going on. They may have resources that you aren't aware of that they can tap into that will help you to save money. So even though it's counterintuitive, looking to get in a planner. My next tip is to get married on a Friday, or at least an off day. A lot of venues offer discounts for not getting married on a Saturday or Sunday. And in addition, this also helps to keep your guest list down. I know, I got married on a Friday myself. So it's a really good option to save money. My next tip is an obvious one, but it's still true. Cut your guest list down. Your guest list is going to be the most important factor on your budget, and it's going to be where you spend the most money. I do a lot of weddings where a lot of times guests will leave right after the dinner is served, or by the end of the night, maybe half the amount of guests that are there, that were invited are there. So I would say focus on inviting your core group of friends, the people that you really truly love, your friends, your family, the ones that you'll know that'll be there to the very end of the night, helping you to close out the bar, the people that you can't live without. If you go online, there's some great resources, some if-then charts that say things like, have you talked to this person the last 3 years? No, yes. Are they invited or not? Is your mom or dad paying for the wedding? Is this a friend of your mom or dad? No. Then you invite them or you don't invite them. But trim your guest list because it's the easiest way to save money. Another big tip is to skip the wedding favors. I know this may not be popular, but a lot of times I'll do a wedding and at the end of the night, there's all these leftover wedding favors that guests just don't take home. And the reason is, like I mentioned before, sometimes the guests will leave before the end of the wedding. Sometimes they may not see them. Sometimes the DJ will forget to announce it. But at any rate, there's all these leftover wedding favors. Myself, a good friend of mine got married. I've got 6 glasses in my house that has his name, his wife's name, and the wedding date that they got married. Because at the end of the night, there was just a box full of them that people just didn't know to take home. So skip the wedding favors, you can save yourself a ton of money. And those are my tips. I hope they help you out and save you a ton of money. And remember, if you need a photographer, make sure your photos are right.